my life to see my mom in that game because when I left Cuba, I thought I never going to see him again.
Tiant's father had been a star pitcher in the Negro Leagues before baseball had integrated. And on an emotional night in Boston, he was honored at Fenway Park.
In that moment, I have my dream coming true for me. And everything coming that year all together.
75 had truly been a dream season for Boston. But if they were going to add a fairy tale ending, they would have to defeat the three-time defending world champion Oakland A's in the playoffs.
The Yankees are trying for their second straight victory. Hello and welcome, everybody. Dwayne Kuiper joined by Mike Krukow for today's MVP baseball game with EA Sports. Taking the mound to start the game, Carl Pavano. Welcome to this American League matchup featuring the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees.
But the Red Sox players in the 1975 Championship Series had
This batter pounds the ball off right-handed pitchers.
to the Reds in the 70 and 72 playoffs. The Pittsburgh Pirates did not have history on their side.
For some reason, the Reds had their number, and I can remember that Doc Ellis, pitching for the Pirates, got so frustrated that in one game he hit the first three Reds batters and got thrown out of the game. But he did that because he thought his team was intimidated by the Reds.
From the start, the intimidation continued.
Strikes out the batter. 3 pitches, 3 strikes, then get easier net part.
Hitting and running at will, the Reds unleashed their total arsenal on Pittsburgh.
Next up,
There they go.
While the Pirate offense sputtered, thanks in large part to the Reds' defense.
Mitchell makes the play to first base. He gets out.
The disparity in the running game was a storyline in the series, as the Pirates did not steal a single base, while the Reds ran wild and were successful in all 11 of their attempts.
There he goes.
didn't find the plate for a ball. Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your pitch.
There he goes.
That's just what you saw with that single.
Cincinnati swept the Pirates and now set their sights on ditching the title as the greatest team never to win a championship.
We celebrate because we had the chance to go in the World Series and trying to win one. The first one was a big red machine.
The Reds' opponents would be the winner of the A's Red Sox series. But with Boston's rookie slugger Jim Rice out with a broken wrist, the Sox faced steep odds against the three-time defending champs, who were brimming with confidence.
Do you feel the A's experience is going to be a big factor in this?
Well, Tony, there's no question about it. I know that, facts and facts. The sky's blue and the sun's shining.
The Red Sox would counter the A's experience by sending Luis Tiant to the mound for Game 1.
You couldn't ask for a better big-game pitcher than Louis Tiant.
And Tiant lived up to his reputation by shutting down Oakland.
Jackson swings and hits it on the
With
ground.
Louis leading the charge, the rest of the Sox fell in line.
Let's go to dry lane
And the A's couldn't stop them. It had taken an entire season for the champs to finally miss catfish. But without their big game pitcher, Oakland's championship veneer cracked. And Boston was the team that thrived under the pressure.
1 through 9, everybody hit. I remember I hit for like 350, and there was like 10 guys ahead of me that hit better. We, as a team, just clubbed them.
The Sox would dethrone Oakland in a stunning and decisive 3-game sweep.
When the last out was made, I wasn't really thinking about how we'd beaten the past champs. I was already anticipating playing on the big stage, and I was saying to myself, man, we're in the World Series.
As the 1975 World Series set to open at Fenway Park, it was obvious to all how Boston and their 95 wins measured up to the Big Red Machine in their 108.
Red Sox fans went to the ballpark with the feeling is, hey, we're just really glad to be here. We hope it goes 4.
I sat in on some of the pitchers meetings, so all we heard about is how you can't do these things to their hitters because they'll kill you. And I'm thinking, man, where are you going to pitch these guys? You can't do this, you can't do that. What are you going to do?
What Boston would do was hand the ball to Luis Tiant.
There's his hesitation pass. Look at Pete. Pete says, what was that? What was that?
And with his father looking on from the stands, El Tiante began to dismantle the Big Red machine.
Pitch on the way. This guy usually pitches deep in the game. Whenever he starts, you will not see him tire out very often. 2-2 the count.
He had them at knots. He just dominated them, and I didn't think anybody could do that.
And as if shutting down the Big Red machine wasn't enough, Louis started the game-winning rally.
He gets a base hit.
They're loving here, no?
Miller retires the side in order.
And Tiant's approach on the bases mirrored his style on the mound. Unorthodox and entertaining, but ultimately effective.
Oh, he's something.
Almost got a run down between second and third. He finally scored a run, and remember he missed home plate. Fisk was telling him to go back and touch home plate.
He painted the black on the inside end. That is pinpoint control right there.
It was comical.
Tiant had almost single-handedly delivered the Sox a victory, and the message that Boston was willing to do whatever it took to make this a series.
Louis Tiant spins a 5-hit shutout.
Boy, you pitched one marvelous ball game today under extreme pressure.
I think now we let them more free. And yes, we have to go there and play the game the way we're supposed to play. And I know we can beat these guys.
In Game 2, the pressure was squarely on the Reds, and the Sox kept it on them by playing flawlessly.
That is
the center field
right there. The catcher set a target on the corner, the pitcher just hammered it full stride.
Boston took a 1-run lead into the ninth, and then found themselves 1 out away from putting the heavily favored Reds in a 2-game hole.
2 down, 2-1 Red Sox in the ninth.
But the Reds had the tying run at third, and their hopes riding on Davy Concepcion.
In comes Drago. There's a bounding ball. It's going to be maybe a tie game. It is. Bench scores to tie it up for Cincinnati. A big infield hit by Dave Concepcion.
And when Ken Griffey followed with a run-scoring double, the Reds had a dramatic come-from-behind victory they hoped would change the momentum of the series. And back in Cincinnati, it seemed like it would, as they took a 2-run lead into the ninth inning of Game 3.
They turned the double play drive to left field. Back near the wall goes Parker. At the wall. He can't get it. The game is tied up.
Dwight Evans' 2-run homer sent the game into extra innings and set the stage for one of the most controversial plays in World Series history. With the score tied at 5 and a runner at first, Reds pinch hitter Ed Armbrister was sent up to sacrifice.
Armbrister waiting, squares around, punts it in front of the plate. Fisk is going to go to second and goal.
This is consistent with good force in the basket.
Here's the goal. It's not in time, and now they're claiming interference. He's interfering. And you went to call it.
The ruling on this is whether he intends to interfere or not. It's interference. Wrong call. Wrong call.
If the Reds had received a break, it didn't take them long to capitalize.
That one's chopped off the plate.
Tough way to lose a game. Tough way to lose a game.
In the fourth game, Boston would send El Tiante back to the mound to try and even the series. And although Louis couldn't repeat his shutout performance of Game 1, he did manage to nurse a 5-4 lead into the ninth inning through sheer will.
He is battling. He's got a battle on his hands.
And the count
In
is
the ninth
0-2.
inning, Tiant was exhausted and in trouble.
And
Harold Johnson came out to the mound.
Miller
Was
strikes
going
him
to take
out.
Louis out. Louis said, "This is my game."
What do you guys think? I got a left-hander down here, Louis. Can you get him? All right. Get after him good. Come on.
With 2 out and the tying and winning runs on base, Tiant got ready to deliver his 155th pitch of the game to Joe Morgan, with the role of hero still to be determined.
Just out the fielder's reach.
Louis Tiant stood on the mound and willed himself to a victory and forever enshrined himself in Red Sox lore.
After 3 straight one-run cliffhangers, the Reds finally got an easy win in Game 5, powered by 2 home runs from Tony Perez. Through 5 games, the Reds and the Sox had already played a classic series. But as they headed back to Boston with Cincinnati up 3 games to 2, they were about to play what many consider the greatest game of all time. Game 6 of the 75 series was scheduled to resume on October 18th.
Coming back for this World Series here in Boston, it's been rain, and rain.
We got rained out in Boston 3 or 4 days. And because of that, it's probably the only World Series in the history of World Series competitions that had a Super Bowl flavor.
Finally, on October 21st, the weather cleared and Game 6 was played. Leading 3 games to 2, the Reds were on the verge of a title. But the rain clouds had come with a silver lining for Boston. The chance to start Luis Tiant in a game they had to win. And while Tiant began mowing down the Reds, Fred Lynn staked him to an early lead.
And there's a high fly ball deep to right field. Forget it. It's gone. Red Sox lead it 3-0.
The score stayed that way until the 5th, when the Reds finally began to hit Tiant. Louis had frustrated them for 2.5 games, but now he would feel their wrath. And by the 8th inning, the Big Red Machine had knocked him out and taken a 6-3 lead.
Cincinnati getting closer to a World Championship.
With the Reds' vaunted bullpen protecting them, Cincinnati's 3-run lead seemed more than safe. When the Sox sent up ex-Red Bernie Carbo to pinch hit in the bottom of the 8th with 2 on and 2 out.
Bernie Carbo was our #1 draft choice ahead of Johnny Bench.
But after a disappointing career with the Reds, Carbo was now merely a part-time player for the Sox.
And there's a sense in the park people thought the season had been spent. That with Bernie Carbo's appearance, that perhaps it was time to put the storm windows on and get ready for winter.
2-2 pitch.
Payoff pitch coming.
Deep center field, way back. We're tied up.
Carbo's shocking game-tying blast had saved Boston's season and turned Fenway into a house of bedlam. Then, in the bottom of the 9th, with the score still tied, Freddie Lynn stepped to the plate with the bases loaded and nobody out. All he needed was a fly ball to score Denny Doyle from third.
I'm coaching third base, and I said to Denny Doyle, anything that's up in the air to the outfield, I'm going down the line, you tag up and watch me.
There it is. High fly ball, left field.
When this ball was hit, it was too short, so I said you can't go anywhere. And all of a sudden, I see Doyle break for home, and I said, no.
Denny, crowd noise and everything, thinks he hears from third base coach Zimmer, go.
That's what I like about this guy. He always gets it done. You ask him to get something done, boom, he delivers.
He's out at the plate. They go on to extra innings.
Cincinnati had escaped certain defeat. And then in the 11th inning, Joe Morgan looked to seize the moment for the Reds.
Well hit, right field, deep. Evans is going back near the wall, and oh, what a catch he made! What a catch by Dwight Evans!
I lost the ball from here
high for a ball.
to here. I throw the glove behind me, and it ends up my glove. No one's more surprised than me.
Game 6 had almost everything except an ending. And in the bottom of the 12th inning, with the score still tied, the Red Sox would look to provide.
Foul territory.
Pudge and I were in the on-deck circle, and he says, I'm going to get on and you knock me in.
But as Carlton Pudge Fisk stepped up to the plate, he would change the plan.
Score 1. Is the next hitter.
And they're crawling up over that fence while we all jumped up and down like a bunch of crazy people.
Fisk's dramatic home run had not only won the game, but his iconic moment would secure his place in baseball history.
Missed low and away.
One of the greatest home runs ever hit.
Didn't know it was going to be fair or foul. I knew if it was fair, it was out of here.
They are just dancing in the streets here.
All
resort. Church bells peal from St. Johnsbury, Vermont, Provincetown, Massachusetts. What an incredible night.
I saw their jubilation after they won Game 6. That was only Game 6. They made it 3-3. And I told Sparky, I said, don't worry about it, Sparky. We got him right where we want.
He dropped the ball.
Pete, another game tonight. It's one season. Right down to one game. Good luck to you.
Well, we started 8 months ago, February 22nd, and here we are October 22nd, and all the money's on the line, and all the glory's on the line, and we're playing for the dying ring.
The 75 World Series had come down to one game. One last chance for the Big Red Machine to finally achieve greatness, or for the Red Sox to pull off a landmark upset.
We go into Game 7, really, really high emotion.
A run scores.
And confident.
And Boston's confidence seemed justified as they raced out to a 3-0 lead. And then watched Bill Lee make it stand up through 5 innings.
If you're a home team and you're in Game 7 of World Series, you got a 3-0 lead in the 5th inning, you got to shut the door and get the ring, man.
With the Reds' hopes fading, Tony Perez came to the plate in the 6th inning with a man on. Earlier, Lee had fooled him with his space ball.
That one's belted deep and gone.
Perez wanted nothing of it.
Now the spaceman made the fateful decision to throw the Reds' most prolific RBI man.
There's his blooper pitch. There it is. He's waiting for that one. That one is gone. And now we have another one-run ball game in this World Series.
Perez's homer would change the game's momentum, and fittingly, the teams would enter the 9th inning tied. Then with 2 outs and a go-ahead run at third base, Joe Morgan looked for the perfect ending to his dream season.
Delivery.
There's a looper.
Fastball catches the inside corner for a strike.
And the Reds have the lead 4-3.
I just couldn't get there. I was frustrated. I felt like it was slow motion to me. I could see it. I thought I could get to it. I got it on hot. Ended up being a game winner.
And Cincinnati has won the World Championship, beating the Boston Red Sox 4-3.
After years of frustration, the Big Red Machine finally had their championship title.
We found out what really winning was all about and what it meant to be a world champion by going into the locker room. Everybody was a world champion. It was very special.
That's a perfect pitch.
One of the best World Series of modern times.
For the Red Sox, there would be no champagne. But they could take solace in knowing that for 7 magical games, they had taken the great Reds to the limit and shown the best that baseball had to offer.
The Red Sox and all of Major League Baseball won the 1975 World Series.
After 3, the score is 4-1.
The 75 World Series is still remembered today as one of the greatest ever played. As for the Big Red Machine, they would win again the following year, cementing their place in history as one of baseball's best teams. The team they supplanted, the Oakland A's, would soon be dismantled by their owner, Charlie Finley. And despite the crushing loss in the series, the 75 Sox would become part of Boston lore as one of the franchise's most beloved teams, and as a dramatic addition to their long story of near misses. But one player would have the most enduring impact. Andy Messersmith would successfully challenge the owners and the reserve clause and win the right to free agency, ushering in a new era in Major League Baseball.
Jackson hits this one to left. Makes the catch to record the out. Stepping in, David Ortiz. Got him. Coming to the plate with one single today, Manny Ramirez. One word describes this right-handed hitter. Consistent.
Sometimes you try to make the hitter chase your pitch. That's exactly what you saw right there.
1-0. That's a ground ball hit to the second baseman. Pavano with a 1-2-3 inning. Going into the bottom of the fourth, the score is 4-1. Now on to the bottom of the order.
No step.
In the right field. He makes the play.
Welcome to baseball seasons 1977. Turmoil and triumph.
In the middle of the pack when there's a right-hander on the mound. Takes low.
There are some landmark seasons in Major League Baseball history that take on a great significance because they usher in a new era. In 1935, baseball was played at night for the very first time. In 47, color barrier was broken. In 69, divisional play began. 1977 would also be one of those seasons, as it would see the advent of league-wide free agency. No longer bound to their teams for their entire career, many players viewed this development as their declaration of independence.
We had no power. We had no say in what was going on in our careers. Once we signed the contract, you were with that club for as long as they wanted you. And this gave us some options.
But from the onset of the first free agent re-entry draft that took place before the 77 season, it was clear that for some owners, the idea of bidding against each other was less than appealing.
When I walked in here, it just reminded me of a den of thieves. Out to cut one another's throat.
For Finley's Oakland A's, three-time champs from 72 to 74, free agency would in fact prove to be a death knell, as 6 of his stars left for greener pastures. But for others like California Angels owner Gene Autry, who signed slugger Don Baylor and all-stars Joe Rudy and Bobby Grich, it was a chance to gain instant credibility.
Gene Autry figured, I'm going to bring in the people I need to not only compete in the American League, but to seriously compete with the Dodgers for Southern California.
But perhaps the most interesting contrast of free agent philosophies was between the two teams who had met in the 1976 World Series, the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds, who swept the Yanks for their second straight title, refused to participate in the free agent process, while New York, led by their aggressive owner, embraced it.
We're going to put the best team on the field that we can for New York, and if it takes plowing back the money that the fans have given us through their admissions this year and the following of the team, we're going to do it.
Eager to add to the Yankees' 20 World Series titles, Steinbrenner signed Don Gully, one of the Reds' top pitchers, and then landed the most high-profile free agent of them all, Reginald Martinez Jackson.
I'm a Yankee because George Steinbrenner was hustling, man, and there's no other way to say it. He came across to me as different than anyone else. He's like me. He's a little crazy, and he's a hustler.
As the former centerpiece of the Oakland dynasty, Jackson had been a two-time home run champ, an MVP, and a World Series MVP. He was a player who lived for the spotlight.
He loved to be in pressure situations. He wanted to be on center stage, no matter what it was, and he thrived in that situation.
He loved the attention, and he didn't mind it all being put on him. He was unique. I never met a guy like him in baseball.
Reggie's skill and bravado seemed to be a perfect fit for both New York and the Yankees. He was joining a pennant-winning team that was loaded with all-stars. And like Reggie, Catfish Hunter, Lou Piniella, Mickey Rivers, Sparky Lyle, and Greg Nettles were also confident and proud players. And the proudest Yankee of them all was Thurman Munson. Munson was the 1976 AL MVP who impressed the Cincinnati Reds with his play in the World Series.
Fastball outside and high for a ball.
He is really a good hitter. Tell you what, this guy's got an uncanny knack for picking good pitches to steal on.
The heck of a
going right here.
He's captain of our team with 11 home runs. You know, you don't develop leadership by saying, I'm going to be a leader. You earn it. And he earned it by the way he played on the baseball field.
Got a good pitch to hit right there.
He was always in pain, knees, thighs. He was always bruised. He was a walking cast. He was all bandaged up. He could barely move. but he'd run, he'd slide, he'd dive. Whatever it was to win a game, he would do it.
And with the intention of winning the World Series in '77, Munson helped bring Jackson into the fold.
It was Thurman who really pushed Steinbrenner to go get Reggie. He remember him saying, you know, go get the big man. He can carry a team like nobody else.
But with Reggie, the honeymoon wasn't going to last long.
He was a walking mass of neuroses, but he was also the greatest quote machine in the world.
They did worse things to Christ. And if that's all they're going to do to me, then I'm happy.
During the course of spring training, Reggie did an interview with Sport Magazine, the famous interview now, where he said, "I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Thurman can only stir it bad."
Thurman, I know, didn't take that too kindly because I was with him that day. He said, "Can you imagine?"
It was an ill-advised interview and immediately divided the clubhouse. 24 guys on this side with Thurman and one guy on this side with Reggie.
I had a lot of dislike, a lot of angst, and just uncomfortable relationships on the team.
But his most uncomfortable relationship would be with his manager, Billy Martin. As a player, Martin had been a key member of the Yankee dynasty in the 50s. His love for the pinstripes ran deep.
You have to play for the Yankees once and be in world championship teams to really be a Yankee. And I think that I'm as much Yankee as any Yankees ever played in the ball.
A fiery and savvy player, Billy now managed in the same manner.
It's kind of like a trite expression to say he was a few steps ahead of everybody else, but he was. And I mean, I had other managers admit that.
Billy was famous for turning bad teams into winners, and then became infamous for turning good teams against themselves.
He would hang out with the players. He would go out with them at night. He'd drink with them. He'd fight with them. And if you didn't hustle, Billy Martin was going to be waiting on that top step for you when you got in. He would go up against anybody.
And the person he would go up against in 1977 was Reggie Jackson.
Billy didn't care for Reggie's self-aggrandizement and didn't want any part of Reggie.
With their contentious cast of characters, the 1977 Yankees were headed for a season that was worthy of a prime-time soap opera.
There's another single.
As they entered the '77 season, the Cincinnati Reds and their manager Sparky Anderson had to be oozing with confidence. They were coming off 2 straight World Series titles and had a roster that was loaded with Gold Gloves, All-Stars, and MVPs.
When you look at that club, positions 1 through 8, their defense, their offense is one of the greatest lineups in baseball history.
In order for a team to even think they would have a realistic shot of stopping the Big Red Machine, they would have to either be half crazy or bleed Dodger blue.
Success against right-handed pitching.
After spending more than 25 years in the Dodger organization as a player, scout, minor league skipper, and third base coach, Tommy Lasorda was named the new Dodgers manager for '77, taking over for the legendary Walter Alston, who had skippered the team for almost a quarter of a century. Lasorda finally had his chance, and he wasn't going to waste it.
Tommy's the damnest guy I ever met. I mean, he is the most positive thinking baseball man I've ever been around.
The score is 4-1.
He's going to get you out. He may have struck there.
Stepping in 1 for 2.
I said, hey, we're together more than we are with our families. And we got to act like a family, and we got to be like a family, and we got to play like a family.
Out of the zone, that's a ball.
Tommy genuinely cared about the players, and to each one of us, he had something special that he wanted us to do. I've never had a manager ever come to me and say, I need you.
And Lasorda knew that he would need more offense if his Dodgers were going to unseat the Reds in '77. So he began by specifically challenging his 4 biggest hitters, Reggie Smith, Dusty Baker, Ron Say, and Steve Garvey.
Tommy said, we need to hit for more power. You guys haven't hit for as much power as you're capable of. I want you to start to swing the bat. I don't want you going up there feeling for the ball. And Garvey, you've had all these 200-hit seasons, but I want 30-plus home runs this year.
And as if on cue, the Dodgers burst from the gate with a power surge and began to pound teams into submission as their 4 big sticks led the way.
I think all of us got caught up in this atmosphere of this is a power team, let's show everybody, and made a difference.
And Tommy worked his magic with the pitchers as well. The Dodgers needed another top-of-the-line starter to complement Don Sutton, and Lasorda wanted that hurler to be Tommy John. Problem was, John had suffered a traumatic elbow injury in '74.
It was a kind of injury that, if anybody had anything like that, you never heard of him again.
But John had an experimental surgical procedure to try and save his career. He missed all of '75, and in '76 came back as a .500 pitcher who lacked the confidence of his manager.
With Alston, I would get into the 7th inning. I'd give a runner up on, well, that's it, you're gone. Oh, and why can't I pitch out there? In fact, Davey Lopes came up to me one time, and we're playing Cincinnati, and I get a guy on base, and he said, get this guy out. Don't let that old man come out and hook you. You're pitching the ball too good.
But in '77, with the full backing of Lasorda, John emerged as the improbable staff ace.
Stepping in, 1 for 2. That was Tommy. Tommy made you feel that you could do things that you were not capable of doing.
The Dodgers were the feel-good story of the first half of the '77 season, as they took a double-digit lead over the Reds into early June.
The way that we meshed and the way that we gelled, we were like an octopus. So that one arm didn't get to the other wood. And a statement that Sparky Anderson made with Cincinnati says, yeah, we're running together now, but by August we'll be running in 9 different directions. And that seemed to spur us to, well, we'll see about that, because we got this lead and we don't intend on giving it back.
As for the Reds, they responded to LA's blazing start by making the most dramatic trade of the season as they acquired legendary New York Mets pitcher Tom Seaver.
It just made everybody giddy. I mean, my God, we've just added Tom Seaver to the Reds starting rotation. We are going to be a juggernaut.
Seaver's trade not only gave the Reds hope, but devastated his former franchise.
I think Tom Seaver was the New York Mets. It was the heart and soul of his team. And if the Mets fans wanted to do something, they should have just boycotted the games when they traded him.
The Seaver trade also left Steve Carlton as the most decorated starting pitcher in the National League East. Carlton's Philadelphia Phillies were the defending Eastern Division champs and were loaded again in '77. They had an all-star shortstop in Larry Bowa, a shutdown relief ace in Tug McGraw, a Gold Glove center fielder in Gary Maddox, an offensive catalyst in Bake McBride, and one of the most feared power-hitting duos in Greg the Bull Luzinski and 3-time home run champion Mike Schmidt.
We were young, we were hungry, we were passionate about the game. We were all in it together like a bunch of fraternity brothers, and it was a really neat time to be a Philadelphia Philly.
He's hitting .306.
In the wild baseball season that was unfolding in 1977, one of the storylines that seemed to take a back seat was the birth of 2 new American League franchises, bringing the total to 14. The Mariners were now in Seattle, and the Toronto Blue Jays became the first AL team to play north of the border. And while the fans in those cities were thrilled to have baseball, the main attraction was playing just off Broadway in the Bronx.
There was so much controversy. The Yankees just took over the whole baseball scene.
I had one player who kind of wrote a 5-page article about me and listened to pretty good. Anything that you just said about Reggie Jackson, he was definitely away.
I used to walk into that clubhouse day after day. I felt like I was like walking into a fun house. You know, you didn't have to think about what you were going to write about. Something would jump out at you.
I think the air was cleared in Detroit, and I just hope that it stays clear.
The burden of the proof and the burden of the challenge lies with Billy.
That scene would ultimately become known as the Bronx Zoo.
Reggie wouldn't get along with Billy. Munson wouldn't get along with Reggie. George wouldn't get along with Billy.
Stepping in,
but it made great stories. So what did you do when you first got up in the morning? Everybody ran outside to get a Daily News or the Post to see back page, front page, Yankees fighting, feuding.
Then in Boston, during a lopsided loss, the Yankees saga took a dramatic turn.
Jim Rice hits what we all felt was a routine fly ball to right, and Reggie not only does he not catch it, he lets Jim Rice get to second base for the double.
An irate Billy Martin responded by sending Paul Blair out to right field in the middle of the inning.
Reggie says, "You coming in for me?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why?" I said, "Billy's the manager. Go in there and ask Billy."
Reggie Jackson has been taken out of the game and been replaced in right field.
He actually pulled one of his best players out of the ball game. After that happened, I'm like, wow, it's going to hit the fan now.
Jackson hit the top step of the dugout and went flying right at Billy Martin. He shows Jackson up for not hustling on the top wire rifle.
It was just a way for Billy to start something with Reggie. It was a chance for him to embarrass Reggie.
The Yankee dugout is a place of turmoil.
It's hit out towards short.
The Yankees were self-destructive, and their rivals couldn't have been happier.
What I was thinking at the time was that they're fighting amongst each other. There's no way that these guys are going to be a factor.
The Boston Red Sox, on the other hand, were having a stress-free season in '77 as their superb group of young stars, Carlton Fisk, Fred Moon, and Jim Rice, were getting an unexpected boost from the ageless Carl Yastrzemski.
A pitching change will be made.
This was his 17th year, and he had been the previous couple of years back and forth, first base, DH. He had some injuries, and then all of a sudden in '77, he had to go play left field. And he won a Gold Glove, didn't commit an error, while he drove in 100 runs and hit almost 30 home runs. He had a phenomenal year.
By mid-season, the Red Sox had slugged their way to the top of the division. Meanwhile, Earl Weaver's Baltimore Orioles were making a run of their own by getting another exceptional performance from mound-ace Jim Palmer. And power boosts from the switch-hitting duo of rookie sensation Eddie Murray and all-star Ken Singleton.
There's no pressure been put on the Orioles. Nobody picked us for anything. And we just go out there and play the best we can. We're Earl Weaver's misfits. And we're the no-names, but we're doing the job.
In Kansas City, the defending AL Western champs were using a different approach. Playing in Royal Stadium on the fast artificial turf, KC and their aggressive manager Whitey Herzog embraced an attacking philosophy that utilized team speed.
Whitey was really a manager that loved speed.
Here he goes.
He never backed off of anything. He always took it to the other team.
He wanted players that ran, hustled, that tried to stretch singles into doubles. He wanted guys that could break up double plays.
Whitey's Royals played that game to perfection, and his two biggest stars, George Brett and Hal McRae, ideally reinforced Herzog's image of what a Kansas City Royal should be. McRae competed with a seething intensity.
I would do almost anything to win a ball game. That's basically the way I played.
While their all-star third baseman possessed an unshakable confidence.
George was always able to maintain the mindset that this is competition, this is what I'm about, this is who I am, and I'm willing to bet on myself anytime, any place, anywhere.
With their relentless attitude and their huge home field advantage, the Royals motored into the stretch run, looking like a sure bet to return to the ALCS. Back in mid-August, the same could not have been said of the Yankees, who were stuck in third place and would need to rise above their dysfunction if they were going to join them. For most of the summer of '77, the Yankees had been embroiled in turmoil. By mid-August, New York still languished in third place, still fighting with each other. But they were also desperately fighting to win.
Regardless of how you felt about anybody, when we stepped on the field, there's like this time warp. Anything on this side is fair game. Everything over here is one team. And when we went through that time warp thing, it's like, okay, who's here tonight that we can use the claw?
And the Yankees would need that fighting spirit. With their most celebrated starting pitcher, Catfish Hunter, ineffective for much of the season, they got help from Mike Torres and Ron Guidry. With Reggie not living up to his immense expectations, they got big hits from Piniella and Nettles and a banged-up Munson. And when all else failed, they called in Sparky Lyle, reliever extraordinaire, to bail them out.
Here comes the man who possibly trusts his own life.
Lyle, who would lead the league in appearances, managed to rescue his teammates with just one pitch, his trusty slider.
Here's the new pitcher. Everyone knew he was going to throw the slider. And Thurman, at times, wouldn't even put a sign down. He would just go. And he'd just throw it, and he still couldn't hit it.
Sparky was the all-purpose answer for the pitching staff. But for the offense, the Yankees needed to find a new solution.
Reggie wanted to be the cleanup hitter. That's what he said. I'm the cleanup hitter. I'm the star. Reggie needed to be stroked, needed to be told he was loved. But Martin wouldn't do it.
Myself and Thurman went up to Billy's office and asked Billy. This would put Reggie into the fourth spot. It'll really help the ball club. It'll give Reggie some more confidence.
Finally, Munson, remember, the straw that stirs the drink bad, he, for the team, went with Piniella.
Martin listened to his two team leaders. Reggie became the cleanup hitter, and the team took off. The Yankees stormed past Baltimore and Boston to take the division, as Reggie drove in 49 runs in his final 51 games.
The rest of the Yankee players, maybe they weren't so crazy about Reggie sometimes with all of his outspokenness, but one of the things they admired about him was his own personal confidence.
He had a big ego. There's no question about it. But you know what? He produced. There it goes. He produced.
The Kansas City Royals produced as well in '77, cruising to an AL West title and the best record in all of baseball. The most productive individual in the American League, however, was a Minnesota Twin, the sweet-swinging Rod Carew, who flirted with hitting .400, but ultimately had to settle for a mere .388 and the AL MVP. His MVP counterpart in the NL was the Reds' George Foster, who hit 52 homers, becoming just the fifth different player in NL history to top 50.
Home run Foster!
He started to swing too soon into that. That's a perfect pitch.
But despite Foster's brilliance and Tom Seaver's excellence on the mound, the big red machine was overpowered by the Dodgers, who ran away with the NL West. And L.A. made history in doing so as the first team to have four players hit over 30 homers in a single season. Lasorda had asked for more power, and Steve Garvey, Ron Cey, Reggie Smith, and Dusty Baker delivered all year long.
It was a matter of these four forces just coming together, and that whole season was just like one explosion after another. It was phenomenal.
And it was only fitting in this storybook Dodger year that Dusty Baker would complete the feat in his last at-bat of the season against the league's hardest-thrown pitcher, James Rodney Richard.
I couldn't stand facing that guy. It was rough. And I said, man, I don't think I'm going to get. Tommy goes, I don't want to hear that. Well, don't you think like that? It was the children of Israel were standing by the Red Sea and the lower part of the Red Sea. And you gotta believe. I said, Tommy, I said, no, I believe no more preaching to the kid. Then I go up there, hit him right. I told you gotta believe the Lord with the Lord. And he's preaching to me right there in the dugout. But that was Tommy.
Lasorda's year-long revival of the Dodgers was complete. But good times were not exclusive to L.A. In the East, the Phillies were also feeling their oats. Steve Carlton captured the Cy Young Award. Greg Luzinski finished second in the MVP voting, and the team won the most games in the National League.
All due respect to the Los Angeles Dodgers, we probably were man-for-man the best team in baseball.
And with the playoffs approaching, the confident Phils were about to get the opportunity to put that belief to the ultimate test.
After 8 innings, Boston
As the
trailed by
Philadelphia
6.
Phillies got set to square off in the 1977 NLCS against the Dodgers in L.A., they couldn't have felt better about their situation.
I know as a team, when we were entering into the playoffs, we went in there thinking we had the best team in baseball.
To win the series, the Phils badly wanted a split in LA, and they would get it as they recorded their first postseason victory since 1915. The team with the best home record in the National League was going home, just 2 wins away from the World Series.
The Dodgers are in a situation where they have to win at least 2 ball games in Philadelphia.
Upstairs
well, it's going to be pretty tough for them to win 2 games in Philadelphia the way that we played in Philadelphia.
And as the series shifted to Philadelphia for Game 3, LA's task would soon get even tougher when in the second inning, their starting pitcher, Bert Hooton, began to unravel.
Hooton is obviously upset.
Here was Bert Hooton.
Ball 4.
Couple of balls, couple questionable calls by Harry Windlestep, the home plate umpire. Close pitches frustrated him.
Oh, that was close.
And then, of course, the fans stood up and took over the game.
Some 58,000 fans on their feet. Listen to it. Listen to it.
With a Philly crowd in a frenzy, Hooton walked 4 straight batters, the last 3 with the bases loaded to force in runs.
He could not throw a strike just because Philadelphians got into his head. It was a beautiful moment.
Philly would ride that wave of emotion into the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. And then reliever Gene Garber would retire the first 2 Dodger hitters he faced.
Second base should be 2 up. That's 2 out. 2 down in the 9th inning. The fans are on their feet. Fans are shouting defense.
There was 2 outs and nobody on base, and the place is going crazy. You think it's over.
The Phils were 1 out away from taking control of the series. But all year long, the Dodger manager had given his team a belief in themselves. And now, when they needed it most, they would reach for it.
With a base hit.
Tom Lasorda used to talk about all the time. He's just having that 1 ounce of breath left. And all I know is this: we still had life.
Nick Davalillo will come out to bat.
Garber gets in there, he gets set, he throws that sidearm pitch, Vic cocks his leg up, and he drag bunts.
That guy out there throws strikes to home plate.
A drag bunt, it's a beauty by Davalillo.
Base hit. Manny Mota
to the right side.
Comes up, pinch hits.
And that's
a 2-strike pitch. Fly ball deep left. Luzinski going away back.
And still see Bull, drifting back towards the wall.
Two-game winning streak.
And this
Pavano picks up the win.
Is grabbed by
Miller
Luzinski.
is the loser.
And this game not
the
over
final
yet.
score, the Yankees 8, the Red
It's a
Sox
double for
2.
Manny Mota. Gets away. Coming in to score, Davalillo. Mota will hold it third. It's now a 5-4 ball game.
Then the game would become even more bizarre.
Davey Lopes game on the line. Ground ball on Smith. To Boa. A throw.
If he's out, we don't score. We lose.
No! Not in time! This game is tied!
He was out. Out.
Not in time, and we have an argument.
They all thought he was out. But I didn't think he was out. I thought he was safe.
Oh, so close. Oh, so close.
And when Bill Russell drove in Davey Lopes with the go-ahead run, the Dodgers had risen from the dead.
The Dodgers have taken a 6-5 lead in the ninth. What a comeback by the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Nobody expected us to tie up that ball game or to take the lead in that game, I guess, but our guys playing.
The next game, Tommy John finished off the stunned Phils, who with all of